هذا القرآن if the man and the jinns they gather to bring something like the Quran, they can't. So it's a challenge to not only mankind but even to al-jinn, the other creature. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenged them because they couldn't say, okay, just bring 10 surahs. فَأْتُوا بِعَشْرِ سُوَرٍ مُفْتَرَيَاتٍ. They say, just fabricate it. He said, okay, make 10 surahs like it. They couldn't. Then he said 10 verses, just 10 ayahs. Genius in talking, in speaking, in poetry. By the way, when they called themselves Arab, they called other Ajam. And the word Ajami means someone who cannot express himself. Because the Arab, they were so proud of themselves when they speak. Their poems, it's a piece of, I don't want to say only art, but it's something that nobody ever was able to make something like it. I'm talking about before Islam. They went a little bit much further. That those genius poets among them, that they reached the highest level of speaking, and those beautiful poems they collected, and they choose the best of them, 10 of them, and they call it al-mu'allaqat. Allaqa means to hang. So what they did to these beautiful poems, they wrote them with golden ink in a very expensive fabric, and they hang it on the Kaaba. Just to tell you how important is that for them. For something to be hung at the doors of the Kaaba, at the walls of the Kaaba, there is something crazy. Why? Because the way how those poets were able to express themselves. Now, the Quran came to challenge who? These people. To challenge these masters in language, in speech, in poetry. And they were challenged by who, by the way? Guess. By a person, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was not a poet. And much more than that, he never went to school. He did not know how to read and write. How is that possible? How is that possible? A person who's not a poet, he didn't know how to read and write, he never practiced such thing until he was 40 years old. All of a sudden, he's saying to them, I have something called Quran, and I'm challenging all your poems. Now the amazing part, do you think those Arabs did not try to challenge the Quran? Definitely. You feel about yourself that you are the best, and someone who did not know how to read and write, he's challenging you with words. And he say, you cannot make something like it. Definitely they try to challenge it. But guess what? We don't have anything in the record that these leaders of Quraysh, these genius of Quraysh, Abu Jahl, and name them, none of them came to say, okay, I am ready to challenge it. The reason that they understood the Arabic language very well, they understood the poetry very well, they understood the speech very well. And once they compare it with the Quran, they realize this Quran is something different. And our session, inshallah, I'm sure it will be interesting. It will be what is really special in the Quran. Once we take a surah like Surah Al-Kawthar, has only 3 verses. إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. Why an Arab poet, an Arab excellent speaker couldn't challenge a small surah that has only 3 verses? He's not someone from nowhere. He's someone who knows how to talk and how to speak and how to express himself to the highest level. But once they start reading this Quran, they realize that there's something unique. That unique thing, that's what we're going to be touching this Saturday, inshallah. Let me give you a little touch again. It says, subhanallah, the leaders of Quraysh. I'm talking about Abu Jahl. I'm talking about Al-Akhnas ibn Shurayq. I'm talking about Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. These were like the leaders, the wise people, those who had experience. They know how to speak. These people, once they heard about this Quran, guess what? They decided to go and listen to this Quran. So what they did, they wait until the night time. They know that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he usually wake up in the middle of the night for his tahajjud and he reads verses. So each one of them, without actually talking to each other, each one of them went to his house and he was just listening to this amazing Quran. And they will listen. And after they finish, each one of them, he wants to go home, but accidentally they meet each other. And they start blaming each other. What are you doing here at this time? And they say, oh, we were listening to him. By the way, those Arabs, with all what the corruption that they had, idol worshipping, they did not lie. They were not liars. So why are you doing this? And then they start blaming each other. We tell the people not to listen to him. We tell the people if they listen to him, they will be whatever. He will convince them how we are doing so. So they promise to each other not to come. But subhanAllah, something is very attractive in this Quran. The next day, all three of them, again, they went to the house of Rasulullah and listening. And after he finished, again, they met each other and started blaming each other again. And the third day again, finally, they made a real promise, probably by the Kaaba, that we're not going to do this. What was bringing Abu Jahl and all those people waking up in the middle of the night and going at the door of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and listening to the Quran? Something is unique. Something is special. Something probably we don't know ourselves. That's why we're not that much attracted to the Quran. Something in this Quran that it says these are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, there's no way that these genius people were attracted to this Quran. Another little story, and I will finish with that. Someone, and this is not only the Qurayshis who lived in Mecca, but from the outside. People used to come to Mecca for business, for Umrah, for Hajj, before Islam I'm talking. So the Qurayshis, they start spreading the words, we have to find a way to stop the outsider listening to Muhammad. But how are we going to stop them? They're coming for business, they're coming for Umrah, and if we stop them, then our business is not going to work. So they started being at the outskirts of Mecca, standing there and waiting for those outsiders. And then they tell them, listen, there's this person, he's a magician. If you listen to him, he will definitely be able, you know what? To attract you, to change your mind, to play with your mind. So the only thing that you do, don't talk to him, don't discuss with him, don't have no argument with him. The best solution for you is just not to listen to him. The story said that this person, his name At-Tufayl ibn Amr al-Ghanawi, he was actually the leader of his qabila, of his tribe. So when he came, they stopped him and they were putting so much pressure on him, telling him about this. He said, okay, I don't want to get into trouble. Well, I'm just coming here for worshiping my gods and having some business. So when he entered, he said, once I saw this person called Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they told me that's the one. He said, I try to avoid listening to him. Whenever he is and I heard him talking, I just moved. Then he said, I decided to put cotton in my ears. So even if I pass by, no words will go to. He said, I did that for the first 3 days. Whenever I see him, I put the cotton. Then he said, one day, I start thinking, say, why am I making fun of myself? I'm the leader of my people. I'm a poet. I'm not just anyone. How is it possible I'm going to be really affected by just words? He said, and this is the word which is different. He said, I decided to remove the cottons. And he said, I remove it. He said, فَمَا كَانَ إِلَّا أَنْ قَرَأَ عَلَيَّ الْقُرْآنَ فَأَسْلَمْتُ. He said, it was just a matter. He recited verses from the Quran to me, and I accepted Islam. What is unique about this Quran? Come join us on Saturday, inshallah, between Maghrib and Isha, and we'll be talking more about it. May Allah forgive all of us. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.